Hi, I'm Chef Leo.
Hi, I'm Chef Theo, and this is The Confessions of a Private Chef. Hey, Chef, how are you?
Hey, did you just wake up?
Oh, man, I feel like it.
I'm good, man. I've been up since, 6 o'clock. Got my ass up this morning and straight to, I had coffee, then put on some clothes and went outside. And when the sun was coming out, and it's like, I'm going to get some stuff done before I got to go drop off the kids.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, the wind has been so crazy here lately. It's just like every time you walk outside, it's like a wind tunnel.
Dude, I know.
It's been
allergies
nuts.
is crazy here in the hill country, and I want to say something else, but I'll get corrected by my guest. So it's not really cedar, but it's
something else.
Yeah, but bro, it's been good. I've been staying busy. We're happy to be here. It's like our first episode.
Yeah, first episode back, right?
Mm-hmm. So calling it the proof edition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because we want to talk a little bit about the booze, wine, bar industry, the people that work in the industry, wait staff, bartenders, just everyone involved in it. I think it'd be cool to touch base and get their point of view of what it's like to be in the hill country doing what they do.
Yeah, man, and that's because it's a huge driving force here in the economy.
Totally,
all the wine, the distilleries, everybody that works in the bars here. It's become kind of like a drinking town.
It has. I've heard it been referred to like 6th Street in the hill country, and it's like it's a shitty way to describe it. I feel like, because 6th Street is cool, but it's not 6th Street. It belongs in Austin. It should stay in Austin, right? We should be a little bit more classy, I feel like. But
totally.
Just because of what we have to offer, we have some really high end places, and it's cool. It's like there's something for everyone, definitely. But
for sure. Yeah, and this season is going to be really cool because we are recording all this from the 78624 bar.
Right, the historic building here in the Golden Block of Fredericksburg.
We might as well be at the center of the freaking universe, man.
No shit, man.
That's what I feel like.
There's a book called Lickenbach, The Center of the Universe, which is really funny.
Oh, it makes sense to me.
It talks about the history. It should be a book about this place. It's freaking cool.
Yeah, and if you're just listening and you've never been here before, it's just a quaint, cozy bar. It's in a old historical building, and they've just set it up in such a nice way where you just kind of come in here and you kind of feel like you're in your just a cozy living room, kind of area. There's plenty of little corners you can tuck into, and it's just really cool, man.
Yeah, you would think it's almost a little European, a little kind of Louisiana, kind of it's super classy. That's simply the easiest way to put it.
Yeah,
and
man.
The cocktails here are probably the best cocktails in town, made by the best current bartender in Fredericksburg, voted by
the people.
By the people here in Fredericksburg, which is really cool, man. So yeah, really looking forward to this season, man. Of course, having you back. This is like our bro time.
Oh yeah, man.
Makes it, this is where we can just unwind a little bit and have some drinks, and
we get to know really cool people.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a great way to kind of like we talked about in the first season, is like kind of building a community of local small business entrepreneurs and chefs and bartenders, and and if you've come on the show before, we consider you part of the show family, and
right.
And I'm very excited for the next guest who we have today, who is now going to be indoctrinated into the show family.
For sure, man. I'm super, proud of who we have on today because, part of it, super talented guy, but he's also my son, which, it's really cool to be able to document something like this and just have it for, the rest of my life.
Oh,
and
yeah,
once it's on the webs, then it's like forever, right?
Yeah, it's encapsulated forever. Yeah, you can always go back and listen to this in a couple of years, right, and remember this time, and being able to talk to your son and kind of get his story
so maybe
from his point of view.
When I'm dying on my deathbed, it would be like, pull up that thing so we can relive this moment. Who knows?
Cool, man. Well, without further ado, whatever. Our guest Carlos, introduce yourself, my friend.
What's up?
Hey, Miko.
I'm gonna be talking a little louder. I have to put my levels down, or
you
can just keep me loud. I'll be the loudest guest you've had.
So far, right?
I don't know. But Buddy was pretty pretty vocal and high with his volume.
Buddy's intense, man. That guy is he's like a ball of energy. It's crazy, man. But it's a lot of fun. It's like that in real life. It's just not a personality. It's like that's how he is.
Yeah, I met him like a month ago. It was where we're at 78624 the bar. Also, if you hear the podcast and you come in, just come in and let your server, or if it's bar service, let the bartenders know that you want the podcast table. We have a table at the front we're doing this at, but even if you don't sit there, just come in and tell us that you want the podcast table, and we'll toss in a little discount for you.
Yep. Yeah. It's a 15% awesome, discount, and you can say
Yeah, that's why you can rack up a huge bill, and get the 15% off. You'll feel great.
Yeah, dude. It's like 2 times taxes.
Dude, I know.
16%.
I know.
But yeah, I met Buddy like a month ago at I hadn't met him, and it was at across the street at the White Elephant Saloon.
Oh God.
He was there hanging out with some people, and I went up and stood next to him, and I think I was like, I don't know if I was frustrating him or if he was just like, what? But I kept like, every time he talked to me, I was like, yes, Mr. DeFonso. Yes, Mr. DeFonso.
Oh my God.
Like, why are you calling me that, man?
Are you serious? Did he know that you were my son?
Once I told him, I think he was like, yeah, I remember meeting you. But it was like, like we hadn't formally met. It was just like in passing, like, oh, this is my son Carlos, and it was like, hey, what's up? But
yeah, no, he's something else, man. He calls me every time he's in town. Come on, let's hang out. But I don't want to go hang out all the time, and and there goes my day, because we'll start drinking before you know it's like shit.
Yeah, he definitely lives life to the fullest. If you're hanging out with him, you're going to be living life to the fullest.
Mm-hmm, for sure, man.
Your dress is so slick.
Yeah, no. Have you ever seen? I know we're getting off topic talking about Buddy, but I love seeing the Buddies before he became how he was right now, like the clean cut, and looks like he came out of college. Buddy, totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah, it's funny.
Now he's like the quasi kind of rock star /
I swear, men get better with age. As time goes by for some reason. I saw a picture of you too, bro.
Oh yeah?
And yeah, same thing. Maybe the same comment. I'm glad.
Oh yeah, cool, dude. It's all the gray.
Have you seen the pictures of Willie Nelson when he was like in his 20s?
Yes. Oh my God, dude. He looks like a Pentecostal pastor.
It's all like the comb over. There's like that photo of him. He's like the comb over, holding the guitar, all like all nice, all proper. You like look it up and you're like, what the? It has to be a side by side photo though, because you can't tell it's him.
I say we make a print and put that up in the bar. It looks a little bit more, like it would
that'd be
fit,
cool, man.
The Willie Nelson
the old school Willie Nelson,
yeah, dude,
like the Baptist preacher Willie Nelson.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Oh man.
So, dude, back to Carlos. So, Carlos, let's start from the beginning. So, Carlos is a local here in Fredericksburg, and so, of course, for me, my point of view, seeing him grow up, doing so many things, it's from skating, just going out and being out. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, we let these kids go out, man. It's like, well, when do I need to come back? It's like, dude, it's like, be back by 10. Yeah. We didn't care where they went in town. We had full trust. So it's like, now it's like crazy, dude. I don't have my girls out, but
it's a new world, dude. It's different.
So I know I had a really cool, life growing up here, with my family, and Carlos had like 20 friends over all the time. But it's like where he's at now, and the whole, what it took to get from point A to point B is just crazy. Yeah. His story's crazy. So tell us about your story, Carlos. How'd you get started?
Start from a wee little baby Carlos, if you want.
Wee little baby Carlos. I am stoked to be here and tell this. Talking about past guests with Buddy, I always have to make sure to mention that in Jeff's episode, I can't get over this. Like, he mentions that he's the fastest, like, bed maker in like this side of the Pedernales or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's like nobody knows unless they're like there to witness it. Because I worked with him in middle school, like I think it was a summer or something like that, and watching him make beds at his motel and cottages, he's like. It's like literally like magic. Like he sits at the foot of the bed, he puts everything into a ball, and then he like casts it out like a net, whips it, and like the bed's like made. It's like he literally like it's like a robot. Like it looks like something out of the Jetsons. It's crazy.
I didn't think about it, but yeah.
Someone needs to get like a reel of him doing that, dude, like an Instagram reel of him doing that.
He's probably the fastest bed maker in the world, and like nobody's recorded it. It's just it's crazy. When I first saw it, I was like, how did you do that? Like I don't What?
I know.
That defied physics and all logic.
I wonder if he trained his housekeepers to do that, man. Because
probably, man.
I mean, he's all about being efficient. He really is when it comes to the stuff he does.
Yeah.
And it shows, man. He's earned everything he has, man.
Oh yeah, man.
And that dumb, ugly ass beast, Tesla beast truck, cyber truck crash thing.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh, Jeff. But I'm
love him.
Glad to be here.
Dude,
I was
glad to have you.
missed the first season, but I'm here.
I've
always wanted to get recorded, but I've always been told I have a face for radio.
Well, it's the same here. So, I think I remember I don't know how old you were when you got your first skateboard. It's like 12, 13.
Oh, yeah.
An uncle came down from Hollister, California, and it's like, what do you want, Carlos? We brought you that. Did he even ask you? Did he just get you that?
I think he asked me. So, yeah, before that, I mean, just like growing up, it was, I don't know, if anybody knows my dad, they knows that he's a man of insane range of talents.
That's true.
So I think that I definitely, like, growing up, I saw that, like, whatever he liked or wanted to do, he was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. And it's like, it could be something that wasn't related to anything at all, but he was like,
just to do
yeah, just like, give me 2 months or give me 2 weeks. And so it was like that encouragement was always there to just like try everything. And so it was always like, yeah, we like anything that I wanted to try, it was like, yeah, let's go for it. And yeah, I always had a ton of friends over. And yeah, probably the first thing that I really got obsessed with, and that was like the lifetime thing, was skateboarding. I had this skateboard. I don't know what happened. I think it was Christmas money or something, but it was like, I think I was in 3rd grade or 2nd grade, and we were at Walmart in Kerrville, and he, like, on a whim, like, just, like, snagged this Walmart board, and it was, like, it had plastic trucks. It was, like, the grip tape was, like, spray-on grip, because it was slick, like a year later, and, the deck was, like, it was, like, red with, like, these little, like, tribal-looking spiders. And
I didn't remember that.
But he like bought it, and it just sat in the closet until like I think 5th grade or 4th grade, when one of my friends down the street, Hunter, like we had a group of friends that would always do stuff together, and Hunter was the first one to be like, hey, you guys ever seen like skateboarding? And I was like, what is that? And he like or he showed us, like, at the time it was like, I think it was some videos on YouTube or something.
Was there YouTube?
But there was some like maybe early on. He also had DVDs.
Oh yeah, dude, those old skateboarding DVDs were sick.
Like he was, so the first 2 companies I ever saw was like Element Skateboards and Zero Skateboards. So it was like they had both come out with a video in the same year. It was like around 05. So it was like Elementality Volume 1 for Element, and that was definitely like kind of like the folky at that point in time, maybe like a little more hipster kind of brand. And then there was Zero Skateboards, which was, he really liked them, and it was like just like heavy skating, like heavy music and stuff like that. And that one, it stuck. And then I skated on that board, that Walmart board, and it was so bad for like maybe a year or something, maybe 6 months. And then we had an uncle, was it Al?
Al, yeah.
He came down from family from San Francisco, and he saw the board, and he was like, he made a comment, I think it was around Thanksgiving when they came down in 05, and he had said like, hey, yeah, we could buy you a real skateboard if you want. And I was like, what? And he mentioned it like maybe within like 5 minutes conversation, but I didn't realize how serious he was until like a month later. I think my dad had a check or something from him, where we could buy a board for Christmas. And so we went to it was called Fast Forward. I think now it's Zoomies, but Fast Forward in San Antonio. We went to North Star Mall, and we got a board and put it together, and I was like, I was so stoked. I remember like thinking the guy behind the counter was so cool. Just like everything, like I just remember like the smell of a skate shop is very unique, and like every skate shop I walk into, if like they have the fresh grip tape, the fresh boards out, it kind of has this smell, and like that still just like takes me back. And it was like a really, really big thing, because I like up until that point I was a little weird in school. I didn't really have any friends. I did my own thing, and me and my friend Hunter had a little crew, but at school I was just like there to like just pass the time and then go home because I was like didn't really feel comfortable at school, and that was probably the first thing that I became obsessed with that like made me really realize like from that point on I didn't care what was happening in school. Like I got good grades, I went to school, I did my homework, but like all the other stuff that like kids were doing I just like completely ignored, because that was the first time that I realized like obsession. And so Al doesn't know it, but he kind of like, that was probably definitely one of the trigger points of like what led me to become who I am and like discover more about myself, just because that board, it was an element board too. I still remember. I don't know if it's floating around somewhere. It was,
we have pictures of you holding the board, black and white,
holding my board, my first ollie. Yeah, shoes. The Audio was a really big skate company back then. The Audio Hamiltons, they were like fat shoes.
Like giant, like
elephants, dude. Because it was
Mickey Mouse shit.
Tech shoes, man. You could jump down whatever you want. You didn't feel anything.
Run faster, jump higher.
You probably had like independent trucks.
Yeah. It was. I remember the setup completely. It was
Spitfire wheels.
It was an element board, like the simple board that like on the bottom, it's got the element symbol on one side, and it's got like. Usually it says element, and then it has the element, the earth, wind, water, fire below it. But this one was a BAM board. So I was one of those kids in the mid-2000s that had a BAM board right off the start. And
are you talking about Bam Margera?
Yeah, Bam Margera. Oh, what he'd do next? Yeah. It was it was Black Magic grip tape.
Oh, like Black Magic, yeah, hell yeah.
The hardware was this company called Tri-Skull. There was like one red bolt.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I loved, and I've like always had that red bolt or some sort of colored bolt to tell the front of my board since. The element board, Bones Reds bearings, the independent trucks, and then like element wheels, feather light. And
hell yeah, dude.
Because I remember the guy talking about Bones bearings at the time, and the guy at the skate shop, and he was like, yeah, they're really good. Like they're one of the best ones out there, and it's like $15. So like, I go out with a $20 bill, get some new bearings. They use rest on a cheeseburger from McDonald's, and then I go back and skate. And I was like, that sounds like the coolest thing ever. But yeah, and then that one stuck.
That one stuck.
Still do it.
It's probably a great way to like relieve stress.
100%. It's. I did it because I thought it was fun, and growing up, like you have to do. I mean, it's skateboarding is literal. Especially back then when there was no YouTube, it was literal insanity.
Oh,
like that's the definition. It's like you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Right.
And back then, there was no YouTube or like trick tip videos weren't really a thing. So it was like, while other kids were probably at home all through middle school, 5th grade, high school, like they get off school, they go home and stuff. Like I would get out of school and I just wanted to go skate, and I would do it until I had to come home. But it was like. Yeah, like sitting there having to reflect upon so many things, like, okay, I didn't get this. Like, I'm going to move my foot a little bit more this way, a little bit more that way. And that's what started really to set off, because I was pretty good in school, but that's really what set off the part of me that really thought about things deeper. Like, I definitely, after that, I started like reflecting deeper about myself, and then what I do, anything that I did, I became so obsessed with like wanting to get it right. So like I would break things down so much, which definitely carried later on into like my career and then the cocktails. But it's like, because it's just a giant puzzle. That's all that skateboarding is. And I've since realized that everything that I like to do is because it's puzzles. Like I love the mechanics. Like I like working in my own car. I like the mechanics of just like how things work. I like to take things apart, and I like hobbies and things that I'm having to use my mind and my body as like a tool to try and figure out this puzzle. And that's
instead of just taking it somewhere and say, hey, here, fix it, or here, can you help me, or can you do it for me? Because it's it's a unique way to experience life, you know, because life can either be super easy, boring, super stressful and hard, but when you find passion, and when you find a way that you can use the abilities that you've learned along the way, and the things that you learn to make yourself better at other things that you want to learn, then it just opens new doors, man.
Yeah, man.
So I think that's badass. I mean, so it started with skating, and then from skating it's like you did that all high school, and then you go to college, and you keep doing it, you know. But in college, it's just you run into different opportunities, you know, that I had no idea you were going to land where you landed. Because first of all, when you said, I'm going to go study art, I'm like, okay. You know, I mean, I never saw you do a lot in the art world, you know, like painting and stuff, because my dad or myself. So it's like, it threw me for a loop, and then it threw me for a loop again, but it was crazy. Why? What made you?
So what did you, so you went to school originally first to do art, and then that led you to, because I didn't even realize that. So then what did that lead you to? Or
yeah.
How did that take place?
Yeah, backtracking a bit just to talk about some key things in middle school, high school. Because I always like to mention people that I think were like cornerstones in my life. And so like my dad was definitely one of them in teaching me how, like, that and skateboarding, not to be afraid to try something. Because like with skateboarding, it's like I always had to, like, you're getting hit in the shins in like 30-degree weather in the winter, and then you still try this thing. Are you kidding me?
It sucks, yeah.
And then see my dad like learn different things and try and persevere. Like it like enabled me to be like, I can do those things too. Like whatever I want to do, I can do that. And then in early high school, late middle school, I really got into photography a lot. And that was something that became, like, I loved, like, skate photography was just from low different angles. My friends were skating a stair set. I'd be laying at the bottom just trusting them that they're not going to smack me. But I loved that, and I fell in love with it for the angles, the creative angles, but also for me, it was like I'm a very nostalgic person. I don't really talk much about things sometimes. I'm pretty quiet. But I loved it because most of the photos that I've taken, whether on my Flickr, my Facebook, or whatever, I can look at that photo and I can remember what happened around that moment. And it was like a very special thing for me. So, and then also I met a youth pastor in town, Kelly Graham, who, like, Kelly was amazing. He was like another dad for me. He was like, took me and my friends, like, we met him through skateboarding, skating outside of the church he was at in the ditch, and he would like take us to like Austin for skate trips. And you know, and I was like doubting what I wanted to do after school, like after high school. He was one of the people that helped me like go to college, and my parents were busy, I think, at the time when I had my orientation, but Kelly drove me to orientation, and he sat through all the parent crap. Like for days he like sat through like this is how to cope with your child going to college, and this is finances, and it's like he's like 30 years old. He's like 28 at the time. But yeah, and then going into college, yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I kind of got pushed to go a little bit, and I didn't know what to study. I wanted to do something that sounded fun, because also like seeing my parents and the upbringing, it was like kind of this mentality of like, just do whatever's fun, or like just like do what you're gonna enjoy. Don't do something that
you're gonna hate.
Don't do something that you're gonna hate, or so regret. You can make money to keep on doing the hobbies that you don't enjoy and the lifestyle you don't enjoy. Like do something with purpose, and like what excites you, what ignites you. And yeah, so photography was that, but they didn't have a full photography program at the time, so I went to Texas State, and if you wanted to do photography, you had to be in the art school.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But it was really tough that first semester, because you're in the art school, but you have to take all the arts. Like I took watercoloring, there was a wood sculpturing class, there's textiles, and I was like, you know, like, I'm a photographer.
What do I do?
I can't do any of this. Yeah. And it was like
a fish out of water.
It was tough. I was a fish out of water. And
like Will Ferrell, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah, dude, for real. Oh my gosh, I'd like see the stuff that people would like make in 10 minutes, and I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? I've been sitting here for an hour and a half. I can't have anything. But yeah, it's tough, because also like you're taking 18 hours a semester, but you have art labs which increase that. Anybody who knows like college hours, like you're working a lot more because you have to be in the labs to make your stuff, and different mediums I'm not used to. Turning my creativity on and off like a faucet with these different mediums, it was just like, it was sending me over the edge. Yeah.
God.
I have a similar experience, man. I went to the Art Institute in Houston for graphic design before I was going to be a chef, And I had to take all those similar classes, dude. And I know exactly what you're talking about, because I would just be like, dude, I don't care about sculpture or like what, you know. It was like I was more interested in like media and like creating like, you know, digital media, graphics and stuff like that, which now would, thank God I didn't go that route, because all that's being absorbed by, you know, new technology. But I would have to sit through these classes exactly like you, like what am I doing here? Like it just felt so forced. Like I was having to force myself to do something that didn't come naturally to me. So I totally get that.
100%. But I don't regret any of it, because I also like one thing that like, sorry, I'm clearing my throat over here on the podcast.
It's all right.
Just the dust from the other day is still in me, man.
Dude, it was bad.
Dude, I felt like I was like going to my car outside at like 2 p.m. on that day with the wind and the dust. I thought I was gonna have to be doing like that's the worm dance from Dune. Jeez, dude.
It was bad. I mean, I had dust and sawdust. Man, I was like double. I'm still like,
dude, I like looked up in the sky and I was like, dude, is there like a fire or something? It just looked like
the days, bro.
Dude, it was like the craziest like visual, just looking over the hills, and it was just like so thick, bro.
Dude, one of my friends, Will, was telling me I think it was the day of I saw him that night, but he was like, dude, I looked at the sun. Like, I'm not supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But it's back to the topic. So yeah, well, like I don't regret taking the classes, because like one thing too that like my parents kind of, I guess, subtly instilled in me was just like like take a positive from whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Like learn from everything, even if it's like, yeah, I was an art major for technically a year, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the classes, but I worked with things that I don't work with before. I love photography, and it's been a while since I've done it, maybe a couple years, but I still do it. And just even outside of that, like it's taught me to really like surround yourself with people that are different and see things from a different perspective. Because like learning those things helped my photography a lot, because I would have it taught me to look at things differently. Like the way that somebody looks at light, at shapes when they're doing that wood sculpturing versus like everything else. Like it's something that like it's so invaluable.
Yeah, I agree.
Training, harder is better than easy.
Well, did you pick up, because your dad's he's a great photographer. I mean, that's kind of where you know, and I learned from my dad too. And I would see my dad instilled that in me, because you know, he was all about entrepreneurship. That was all he talked about. And when he would say the word, he would pronunciate it in a way that just sounded weird and funny. So it really stuck with me. And so my dad was that guy. You know, he was an artist. He would paint, one stroke would create a beautiful, you know, rose petal. He would be the guy that, you know, he could play the piano, and I would make some fun of him sometimes because his style was funny, until later on I realized that he was all into like the 60s, that style of music, 60s, 70s. So I would hear some of the Doors stuff in the Doors, and it's like I remember, oh shit, my dad used to play that little riff, you know, from the Doors, and these were things I didn't know, because I was raised in a household that wouldn't allow me to listen to this stuff. But my dad still listened. and even though my mom would say you're not supposed to, and so he would still play this stuff. Hilarious. And so things like, you know, the music, the art, you know, the photography, I got it from him. And I mean, obviously Carlos saw me do it, transferred over to
and
him.
Not only that, but he also saw my dad. He was very fortunate to be around my father too at an age to where, you know, his brain was being absorbed with everything going on, because it wasn't just me doing it, it was him. And he used to take them all the time off our hands, you know, just come randomly. I'm going to take a Carlos with me. It's like, I didn't teach Carlos to ride a bike, my father did. You know, so it was like little things like that I think back, it's like, well, you know, I had my hand in certain things, but I was always so busy with doing like what I do now, always running around doing things like my dad did. But yeah, I mean, and I think that's how he gets it, or where he picks it up. And I see that, you know, people in general, you know, if you become and you do as, you know, the people around you do. So I always say that, you know, surround yourself with people that are better than you, so that you may rise to a higher level. because it's easy to be stagnant in anything that you do if you're not, around other people that are better than you. So never feel intimidated, in the bar industry. I didn't know anything about the bar industry like 6-7 years ago when we helped open the bar. So it's like we'd hire a bartender that was a bartender. He might have not been the best bartender, but it was like I learned so much just watching him. And so then, you start putting your twist on, you start doing your research, and before you know it, I'm making, pretty damn good old fashions. And I still make my old fashions, and I love them. So it's, that's how my family is. And I see that's how Carlos has been. So, but I mean, it's taken him further than what I've been, So he's done a little bit more, a lot more in his short lifespan so far. So I'm super impressed. Okay.
So you were doing art for your first semester?
Yeah.
And so how long did you pursue that, and did it change at some point?
Technically, it was the first year, but after the first semester, I met this guy, another Cornerstone guy, really quick though. His name was Ramon in my dorm. I walked in one day. I think I had been at my art labs for almost the entire day. It must have been, I think it was getting around finals time. That or midterms. But I walk in and he asks me, just like one of those days, I was on edge, and he asked me how are you doing, dude? He's just sitting in the lobby, the dorm lobby, and I just break down. I'm doing horrible. It's just this is happening. I'm just not having fun, and it's not rewarding for me. And we sat down and just talked, because I was I don't know if this is for me, because also at that point in time, I'm a pretty unashamed guy to share things with people that I'm open with, but at that point in time, I graduated high school with a 4.0. I graduated college with a 3.8. But my first semester, I finished my GPA at the end of my first semester was a 2.2.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
I was really afraid of failing out. I was just talking about stuff, and he told me about his major. And it was oh, well, I do recreation and administration. And I was what is that? And also, I guess to help explain this, I'll back up a little bit too. One of the things that Kelly did with us in high school is whenever we met him and he would take us out doing stuff, he would take us to Enchanted Rock all the time, which I hadn't really been. I think I'd been once when I was a kid with my dad. My dad and my cousins, they came up from Mexico to visit. We went to Enchanted Rock. I remember because my dad bought me Shockers, these sour candies. I love sour candies. Yeah. Also got a really good memory. So Kelly would take us to do these things, and he would take us he took us mountain biking. He would take us to Enchanted Rock and all these outdoor pursuits that honestly I never thought I'd be able to do those things. I thought that was stuff that rich white kids did.
Yeah. Did you ever do that, Theo?
Well, I wasn't a rich white kid. I was the solo white kid on the block.
He was in the valley. He's basically brown.
Right, basically.
He's
actually, Carlos' story reminds me a lot of my own. I mean, my dad would just let us go out and skate and bike, or it was just come home when the street lights kind of come on, kind of thing,
Yeah.
And that was it. We got in all kinds of trouble, but I mean, we kind of had no limits or boundaries as far as how we could explore. I mean, times were different back then too. Mm-hmm. So anyways.
Yeah, so it was. So he took us doing that, and I also talked about Grandpa. I remember thinking about the bike riding thing. I remember how disappointed he was when he took me out, because I got the bike riding first tee.
You didn't have to do it.
I got on the bike, and he was all ready to teach me, and I just I started going.
Oh, he was
first try.
I guess I don't have to do anything.
He was so sad. He'd gotten a bike from hospice.
Yeah, dude, for sure. You didn't have training wheels, did it?
Oh my God.
No, it didn't. Which is why he was more stoked, because he's oh, he's gonna fail.
Yeah.
But it worked.
He didn't fail. He's probably more afraid to fall off of it.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that in soccer was a really big thing growing up, too.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me about it.
We went to nationals. We did 3v3, which is a smaller format of, it's 3 people versus 3 people.
But we had
at one time.
6 players.
6 players, so you have 3 on the bench, 3 on the field, and it's a smaller field. It's definitely more touches on the ball, a lot more fast-paced. Mm-hmm. And then, I played Academy here. We have I think it's Hill Country United, but it was Hill Country Crush.
Yeah.
We were part of the first class of them.
But no, dude, we won nationals, and Carlos got into a fight, man.
What?
He didn't technically into a fight. He punched somebody.
There's a few times that things would happen.
Yeah.
Because Felix would call me Battle Axe.
Yeah.
one of our players, Ryan, he was freaking insane. Oh no, he wasn't. Oh, we played club.
Yeah, we played club.
11v11 because Ryan was on. So there was two teams in Fredericksburg. There was our team. We were Alpha. It was pretty much like just.
It was 6.
Like all Mexicans.
Yeah, it was all Mexicans.
And then
what was the other club?
It was the Sharks.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But what was Dietz? Dietz?
Mm-hmm.
What's his
From
first?
the Dietz Motel? I can't remember.
Dang it. His son was Carl Ibarra, but they had the Sharks.
Yeah.
And both of us were like both teams. We were very competitive. Mm-hmm. We would like do really well in the competitions we went to. I think we both went to nationals. Anytime we played them, though, they always beat us. Yeah. I'll never forget that because they were just so much better than us.
Mm-hmm.
But we played academy, and then I walked on and played a little bit in college, briefly.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, so
spending all the time outside with Kelly.
Yeah, so back to Ramon. So he was telling me, I walked to the dorm, bad day, and he's telling me about his major. And he's like, recreation administration. And I was like, what's that? And he was like, well, it's like recreation, but there's like different aspects to it. And he was kind of explaining it. The way that he was kind of going for, I believe, was outdoor recreation, which is like teaching people outdoor skills and just like going out and playing with them. And I remember him telling me about that, and I was like, you can go to college for that? Because like I remember that whenever Kelly took us out, it was like that's when I was the best version of myself outside of skateboarding, because sometimes I'd be out with kids that I never hang out with, and when you're out there, like the world in its natural state owes you nothing. There's nothing that is entitled to you to succeed. You have to make it work. And so like sometimes we'd be doing something, and some of the kids that I don't usually talk to or hang out with, like I learned to talk to kids, to other people that I'm not familiar with, those interpersonal skills. And then I also like, you learn to value each other a lot more and communicate, because it's like, hey, we need to figure this out. I have a perspective that might be helpful that's different from your perspective. Let's try these things. And so that's when I was the best version of myself and the happiest. And so I was like, if I can do that for a job and like show other people how much of an impact it had on me, like that would be sick. And from there I got really involved. At that point I didn't really have any outdoor pursuits that were like hobbies, but I picked up like mountain biking and a little bit of paddling, a little bit of rock climbing. But it was like anytime that an opportunity came up, I was like oh ma, I'm gonna do this guiding trip with like this person. I'm gonna guide canoeing. And I was like, well, can I go? I was like, I have no skills, but can I go? Because it was like the thing my dad was saying, like I was always so big on like I want to learn as much as I can from people that kick my butt at it. And I was so unashamed. And that's like that, and like just this like secondhand stoke that like I was always so happy, just because like it was fun. We're like playing, we're studying till we can play as a job. And that allowed me to network a lot. I learned a lot of skills I would never have learned. Picked up mountain biking, which like definitely became something I became heavily interested in and helped me later on in my career. And then also like the mechanic side of my brain, I picked up like I love gear, like learning about the aspects of outdoor gear and stuff. So that it's just a lot of different things that played into me being like someone that can be useful as a guide, when like at the beginning of it I was like I had no skills, I just had stoke. So yeah, I ended up switching to that major. Outdoor rec was kind of my emphasis. And then like that major at Texas State, it's a really good program, but they made us have like 3 internships. So there was 1 big internship and then 2 small internships. And so I used the opportunity for all of them to do different aspects of recreation, so I could learn the most and also see like what I liked the most, and outdoors what stuck. And then I was able to make those connections, and I went on to have a career in the outdoor field, like really for like 11 years. I started in college, then I got into guiding and stuff, and yeah, from there I spent since 2016, technically I would like work for the city of Georgetown. I do like adventure-based therapy with their in-house detention kids. So once kids get to a certain level there in Georgetown at the Juvenile Detention Center, they can work with us, and we'll like take them like mountain biking, rock climbing, paddling. There's a ropes course, and then like afterwards, because a lot of these kids, like, they act tough, but once they're put into uncomfortable situations, they kind of break down, and it's like very vulnerable to be around another person. Y'all are both acting hard, but you're also like both breaking down. Yeah. So we'd like do these things, have fun with them, and then like process at the end of the day, like, what's the deeper meaning that you can take away from what we did, aside from having a good time, and how can this be like healthy for you to keep doing in the future, and how can this be accessible to you in the future without having to buy expensive gear. Right. So I did that, and then also helping to guide backpacking at Texas State with the class. I helped teach a class with that from really 2016 till like a little bit after COVID, because COVID kind of like put a pause on that. They definitely downsized a lot. Then I got to work with a nonprofit in Austin called Explore Austin. They did adventure-based mentoring with Eastside kids, so they're an amazing program. Anybody who like wants to look up what this nonprofit is, because they also like, you could be a mentor to do these things with them, but they have kids from 6th grade to 12th grade, and in 6th grade they take these kids, underserved audiences is what they're called, that just meet certain criteria, and they put 15 kids with 5 mentors, boys group and girls group for each grade, and they're with them all throughout high school and middle school. Wow. And every year they have a different emphasis, and they'll work on those skills on Saturdays during the school year. So like in 10th grade was mountain biking. So in from the ground up, they learn mountain biking, and then they meet up on Saturdays to work on it. And then in the summertime, they'll go on a summer wilderness trip for like 7 to 10 days where they do the skills in a different location. That's cool. So like mountain biking, we did mountain biking in the Pikes National Forest in Colorado, which is, we did like stuff like that. So I worked with them. I worked with the C.O.A.P.C. I did trail work. We'd have to hike out with like our tools, like McLeod's, chainsaws, all this stuff, and like do trail work until it was done for 10 days, and then head back home, be home for a few days, and then go back out. It's like a lot of like really tough work in the summertime, and then I was a park ranger for 5 years with the state.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Man, that's a lot to just think about.
Dude, you've lived a lot of life in a short period of time.
No shit.
And I skated through all of that too.
Oh, that's cool.
Got hooked up with a shop in San Marcos.
I remember we take trips to San Francisco to go. Like I was doing the cooking,
the food show.
Food shows with Fisher and Weezer. And I would remember Carlos would come, and it's like he'd bring his board, and then it's like you'd run into people, and it's like, dude, it's like, I think someone knew you, or you knew someone.
I think I'd seen someone on the streets or something like that. Yeah. Because I would literally like wake up and then just go skate.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, that's the hotbed for some of the best professional skateboarders in the world.
But dude, oh my gosh, dude, like I've skated hills. I'm not a big hill guy, but in San Francisco, till you see the hills from a skateboarder's perspective, you're like...
They're 45-degree angles going down.
Dude, not even that, dude. They're like more. It's like 70 degrees. Yeah. It's like I was like, oh, that'd be cool, the hills of San Francisco. I got there, I see the hills, and I'm like, that's a wall.
That's not a hill.
I don't even know how cars are parked on the side of the roads right now, dude.
I know.
I get scared walking down those, let alone like skating them across intersections. I'm like, you have to have a crew stopping traffic at all these intersections
or waving you down
to
or something.
Do these, dude. It's insane, those hills. But
I remember that. That's how hardcore he was. So yeah, I mean, then after I remember him coming. Even after COVID, when you were doing that stuff and you just coming to the house, it's like, dude, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. I know there was a lot of stuff was like your per diem, your stuff, and it was stressful. I think you looked like you started getting stressful there towards the end of doing the working for the state. I mean, you had fun when you'd go out with everyone else, but it was something about the state. It was like, dude,
it's just the unfortunate reality of the field. And there's a few factors that went into that. It's where my heart is, and it's where I'm going to go back to. But yeah, it was. I was living in Austin during COVID and post-COVID, and then I was living with my ex. There was a breakup, and then it was like right when the lease ended, so there was like nowhere for me to go.
Oh damn!
So I came back home, which was really tough for me, just because. Like I never thought I'd come back home, but also like coming back home, and it almost felt like defeat. But I kept doing the job and I loved it. But yeah, in mid 2023, it's been about a year and a half now. I was I was really stressed out. And it really came down to just like the pay versus like where I wanted to be financially.
Oh yeah, man.
And also like at the time I was also in a relationship and it was getting more serious, and like that job, that field, like the outdoor field is tough to have like a partner in, especially if you're not at a specific place like I was. Because like people ask you like, oh, I'm a park ranger, and they're like, oh, where park are you at? And I'm like, well, I'm based out of Boston, but every week I get sent to a different park. It can be in the Hill Country, but sometimes it's Dallas, sometimes it's Houston, sometimes it's Corpus Christi, but mainly in the Hill Country. But it's like I'm home for like 2 or 3 days and then I'm gone the rest, you know?
Yeah, back out
like
there.
4 days like away of the week, it's tough on a relationship. So like that, and then just the financial aspect, like I want to catch up a little bit and then I want to come back to it. And also at the time I had an amazing team, and they were all kind of leaving for various reasons. One of them was having a kid. He obviously couldn't be in the field as much. He was transferring to HR. And then another one was she had gotten a job at a specific park. And so she was going to be in a specific place. And I was like, I think this is my natural resting stop. And it was scary. And it's still like, it hurts me a little bit still to this day, because like, that's where I feel like my heart really is. I feel like it's part of my personality. I mean, I had one of my team and myself like won a few awards with the state. And my dad was in one of them too during COVID. We had to during COVID they had us do like ranger programs like online via Facebook Live. And everybody was like kind of doing stuff from their home, but I told my dad, and we were like, "Oh, let's like do something really cool." And so I think we got like 20,000 views.
Oh wow!
But it was we dug a ground oven in the backyard, and we did a video where we did salt crusted fish.
Snapper?
And we did tilapia, and we did red snapper. And we explained what we were doing. We we stuffed it. We did everything, covered it in salt, put it in the oven, cooked it. And it was like
we did it real time.
Real time. I think it was like an hour we did it. And it was really popular. But it was popular to a curse, because for the next like few months, anytime there were like, because it was in April of 2020, and it was just going to be that month. We were going to do all of our team was doing stuff like I think it was 4 or 5 times a week, but throughout the month I would have had to do 3 or 4, and the rest of mine were pretty simple. But the salt crusted fish one was special, and that one got so many views, so many. But then like the next month they're like, we're gonna do it again, and then in June we're gonna do it again, and every time we were gonna do it again, it was like, oh, Carlos, why don't you do that salt crusted fish thing you did again? And it was like, dude, I heard do the salt crusted thing like for the next 6 months of my life, and it was like, guys, like I don't think you know how much prep went into that thing, man.
How much money costs?
Like let this die. Like one of the times we ended up doing we did pork on a disc.
Yes.
Because it was like, all right, we're like, because I think we did salt crusted fish once, we did it a second time, and then we did it where we around Christmas, where we had done a third video. We did a third video around Christmas, but we recorded it this time, and it was edited, so it's like, all right, now you can reuse it over and over again.
There you go.
And I can let this separate. But like I think it was in June, the third time around, we did pork.
And I wish I could just like
got into the Skylab.
Yes, and it was like everyone knew me too. It was like Chef Dad. It was Chef Dad. Just these comments, man. It was amazing. But it's really cool when you get to do stuff like that with your son, and then you see the response and it's positive, and you're teaching someone.
That's cool.
Because I get a lot of I get a lot of pleasure of just knowing that I've taught someone something.
Oh yeah.
And especially something they can use for the rest of their life, because it just it makes you feel good. It's way better than money, man. I mean, who doesn't love money? We need it, but it's like it's cool to be able to know that, and then they see you 20 years later down the road. Hey, I remember that. It's like, that's
you taught me how to do that. I still do it today.
It helped me for a while too in the agency, like giving me like a thing.
Yeah.
Because like I was very, very fortunate.
Yeah.
Like in college, as an adult, and in my work, that like I grew up feeling lonely, But then I was like, I had friends and I learned through skateboarding. Like I got so happy. It was like I was stoked, and I was always stoked in everything because I remember how it felt to not be like that, and I always wanted people to feel like getting the love that they deserve. Always give someone a chance, and so I was always stoked, and it helped me meet people and carry me a long ways, like just like being down to help with anything, and then just like being like genuinely happy and stoked. So I was fortunate in the agency that I kind of like met people that were very high up that I was like, I'm able to meet, and like, okay, now I have you as a reference, and now we're tight. But I definitely got more of a name after the salt crusted fish. Yeah.
You know what's funny about that is like, I guess about a year, maybe 2 years ago, I was cooking for a guy who was a designer for Disney's Wildlife Kingdom or something like that.
Oh wow!
And
Animal Kingdom,
yes.
Yeah.
And one of his guests was the director of Parks and Wildlife for the state of Texas.
Oh my God!
And I said, "Oh, my son used to work there," and he goes, "What was your son's name?" And I told him, "Oh, yes, we know Carlos." And it was like, went just like, "Oh shit!" I go, it's freaking cool.
That's full circle.
Yeah, for sure, man. So even now, I mean, it's a small world, man. Everyone knows everyone, you know. And so, you know, he gets back, and of course, Fredericksburg is all about the hospitality industry, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you come to Fredericksburg, you either own a business, you own a winery, you do, you know, some type of hospitality work, or you work at the hospital, H-E-B, Fisher & Weezer, or any local, you know, store.
We are a goods and services community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do? You know, what kind of job? Anyone can walk down Main Street and get a job. People are moving, you know, from store to store. It seems like you get a little pissed off and it's like, I'm leaving. It's like, okay, what do you do? And the next person walks in looking for work the next day. So it's like, when Carlos came back, you know, it's like, what are you going to do? You know, we had so many plans and ideas, but it's hard sometimes to solidify any of that stuff. So it's like, you know, you got to do what you got to do to make money, man. If I wasn't cooking, you know, I'd be at a gas station, Walmart, something, dude. I mean, I'm always going to provide for my family, and I'm going to do what I have to do. Luckily, I've got some skills and a little bit of talent, so it's like I can make something happen. But, you know, what do you tell your son? What do you know, it's like, what do you got to do? So he's got to, you know, some things you got to find on your own. You got to figure out on your own. So Carlos was on top of it, you know. It's like, what are you going to do, Carlos? And so, I mean, after you come back home, and then it's like, what are you going to do? You know, what happens next?
Yeah. I mean, when I came back, it was also like, it was like 2.5 years that I was living in Fredericksburg and still working at Parks. And then when I separated, it was tough. Like, I had an identity crisis, but then also I started working at a coffee shop, which is where I met Theo at.
Yeah, man.
Owned by the Washburns. They own a few restaurants here, and I was working at the coffee shop. The guy who was the manager was just a genius at coffee, Reed Milliken.
Yep.
And
hell of a guy.
Yeah, he's like, he was so knowledgeable, and he just loved to share that knowledge. And me loving the mechanics of things, and like I don't want to learn how to do things. I want to learn how they work, and then let me know. Then I can figure out how to work it. And I loved the coffee aspect. Learned a lot through him. And then John needed help at one point after X amount of time with bartending over at Tubby's. That's where the bar program starts. And he was like, "Oh, well, we have a bar program. We'll teach you everything." Because I was like, I don't know anything about bartending. Like, I don't really drink. And so I took it on. And then, like, before I got the job, like before I started day one, I wanted to learn, like, okay, I need to do research and figure out something. I don't want to go in knowing absolutely nothing. I at least want to have an idea of what this tool is, what this means. So I was looking up on YouTube, doing research and Google, and then learned a few things, worked with the bar program a little bit, and after a few weeks, I discovered the Japanese method of cocktail making, which is like, craft cocktail culture has definitely gone up in the U.S. in the last 20 years, but like, the Japanese are like so perfect in everything they do. Like everything,
precision.
Yeah, everything is like, every small movement has a purpose, and that purpose, everything that goes into the making of that cocktail, as well as the ingredients, every one of those things goes into why that cocktail ends up being near perfect. And so I started, like, they have a different shake, which I remember I got kind of some flack from people there, like, why are you shaking weird? And I'm like, that's just a different way that I'm learning. But I was like, they have a Japanese hard shake, which is just like, it's a very specific way so that the cocktail gets super chilled without being over diluted. Mm-hmm. And from there, I found out who some of the key people were in the last 20 years, and then also like some of the greats from just the modern cocktail, going back 100 plus years, and I read up on those. And so like a lot of people that I read a lot of the things by Sasha Petrosky, a book by Del DeGroff, he's the guy who really popularized the Cosmo, mm-hmm. but he has a lot more to his record outside of that. The Savoy Cocktail book, that's like 100 years old, and then I discovered this book through the bartenders over at Otto's, which they're amazing bartenders, amazing, Harry and Violet, and they showed me this book called Liquid Intelligence by Dave Arnold that really goes into the food science behind stuff. And that was like, I became obsessed, and I became obsessed with like playing with the recipes of some modern classics and getting them where I wanted to, and just perfecting my method. And I was just really fortunate that like I researched a lot. Like, I've been doing this maybe like almost 2 years at this point. Mm-hmm. I've been at this bar for about a year, but it's like I put in so much time, so much reading, so much research. Like, it's a lot. I know I haven't been in it long, but I promise I put in my time.
No, I get it, man.
Well, even when I first met you, and prior to being a bartender here, I mean, you kind of put your time in at the 78624, because I remember you were like bar backing here over on the weekends.
Yeah, when I was a park ranger, to make extra money, I was bar backing when I was home.
So you were kind of already in the atmosphere in a way.
Yeah, which kind of lended into why I ended up getting the role that I did have here, because coming from from parks and just that world in general, like, you have to have systems in place, like especially with the state. Mm-hmm. We have to have systems in place, and there's a lot of liability, like taking people in the outdoors, and so there's that lended into, like, as I was working here, I saw things that were like just inefficient in my head. Mm-hmm. Plus, like, later on when I started doing more research on craft cocktail culture and just like how craft cocktail bars are, there's a lot of things that I was like, all right, this can be changed. But it just really came because I would happen to be here so much washing dishes and getting ice for people.
Yeah.
So I don't like...
You saw the things that needed to be changed because it just wasn't efficient, or it just wasn't working out, or...
Yeah, just it didn't fit the vibe of what I know Lauren wanted the place to be. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like, after I'd really like developed a lot, I was bar backing here, and then things happened. I ended up taking a step away with the Washburns at Side Street, and like, much love to John. Like, I'll have his back when he needs it. He gave me a chance, and I really, really appreciate that. But yeah, I separated from there. Then I was bar backing here, and then I think like at one point Lauren and my mom had seen kind of like what I could do, and then like I was like, I think I have a few suggestions, and we made some changes and stuff. We planned all of March and then launched it in April.
Yeah, so you pretty much got in from what you were doing and just like, you know what, I can consult, I can do this stuff, and it's like, these are my ideas, let's execute. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, the whole thing was like flipped. I think the first thing that I noticed when I walked into this bar, the difference was how you slimlined just everything behind the bar. It's like, okay, why do we have this? We never sell it. Let's just get rid of everything, you know. And it's like, let's start with just great, you know, products, and then just create these unique cocktails, and then even not only that, but just when you walk into the door, the way it flows is totally different from what it used to be.
We Marie Kondo'd the heck out of this place.
It's funny. It almost reminds me of like your early story with like the toy skateboard in your closet. That was like your bar back era, and then when you got your Element, you know, it was kind of like you're the bartender era.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, totally. And it's like that with everything. I mean, honestly, it's everything. I mean, he skipped the whole part where, you know, he's a musician as well.
Oh,
you know.
Oh yeah, I play guitar. I play trumpet. I played trumpet in high school.
Yeah.
I have a mouthpiece in my car whenever I'm driving to Austin or something to go skate or work. I'll pull out my mouthpiece and I'll I'll buzz along to the songs that I'm playing because I'm like, I mean, if I'm not doing anything, I might as well be productive. But yeah, trumpet and then guitar, which I really love, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, but when I was a kid, I played a mean rock.
God. Yeah, so
like the only person in the family that does not learn the accordion.
So, I know, so it's funny because my family, everybody in my family are musicians from my dad's side and my mom's side. My mom's side, they're all mostly, your Tejano Norteño, you know that, some a little bit of country. My dad's side, everything was contemporary, blues, jazz, soul, church music.
Oh, that's cool.
We got the best of both worlds because now you'd hear everything, you'd want to try everything, right? Yeah. And so you would have to learn everything. But I would play sometimes, with my cousins or my uncles, and we played norteño, and my uncles would have these, badass like $4,000 or $5,000 accordions. Well,
I didn't even think it'd be that complex.
Like all blinged out and shit.
Oh hell yeah!
It's like, dude. Yeah. And then Carlos is like, dude, he wanted to sit up there with us, on stage or whatever. So one time he found this piece of granite, the shape of an accordion, and my mom had this old little case, like a little cardboard suitcase that it looked like it belonged to maybe a dulcimer or something. I don't know what it was. So he takes it and puts it in his case, and then he's walking around with it. And when we go practice, he shows up with it. He sits in the corner, and dude, the kid is, I'm thinking he's like 6 or 7 years old. He breaks it out and sits down and he puts it on his lap, and he's watching my uncle play the accordion, and he's just playing along, dude. Like
he's learning.
He's pressing imaginary buttons on his rock.
Oh my god!
And it's like, dude, granted, they were already making these little kid cheap ass accordions at the pawn shop, and you could have just asked for one gladly with a bottom one, but nope. The rock had the weight, it had the bling already because it was granite. It sparkled when the light hit it just right.
Oh my god!
But I mean, it went from there to like guitar or whatever. I mean, it's everybody. My daughter plays as well. She plays the piano. My dad was a pianist. My sister plays. So it's like when I saw Carlos picking up the instrument, it's like, okay, shit. His brain works both ways. He's So, anyways, back to the bar. So yeah, I mean, so this bar is totally different. I had it was funny because Jolene, she, we had her on the podcast, and she saw a picture one night after I got done with my one of my dinners. I walk in here and I take a picture, and she comments on the picture, and she's like, "Oops, sorry guys, this is my phone. Just dropped it." She goes, "Where's this at?" It goes 78624, and it's like I haven't been there like in 2 years. Last time I went, it was like I don't know. It was just weird. It was like a different vibe than what we're used to when y'all first opened. And it's like, well, when's the last time you've come? And it's like been about 2 years ago. And it's like I stopped going because of that. And it's like, well, it's time for you to come back.
To try it again.
It is totally, it's done a 180. The wine selection is different. The cocktails are different. They're made differently. The atmosphere went back to what the original, concept was, which was, try to, classy, slow, like really slow. Not, I'm not saying that it's going to take, a shitload of time to get your cocktail, but it's like you want to slow down. You want to be able to enjoy the person you're with, unwind, enjoy, sip of your cocktails. This is not where you're going to come order shots. Yeah. You're not going to come and say, or lemon drops, even though I'm sure they can make it for you. But it's like
Jaeger bombs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you don't have any Jaeger back there, right? Yeah.
We also don't carry Rumpelmints. That's a frequent question.
Do you carry? They never carry Red Bull, and then they start carrying Red Bull. Y'all carry Red Bull again or not?
We do. We don't use it too much often. It's like people will order vodka Red Bulls, but like we don't. Yeah. We try to keep like the shots limited, or we'll like. There's times where we'll curate shots. So, like, one of the things we do here, I'm sure we'll talk about everything we've done, but we'd really like to curate drinks. So we have the menu here, but also, like, if you don't know what you want to try something new, you can have a conversation with the server, or if it's bar service, the bartender. We'll talk about what you like, what experience you're going for, what spirits you like, what spirits you don't like, an example of what you like to drink, and we'll curate something for you. But,
that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, like, one of the big things, too, I mean, if someone walks in here is going to be, like, the fact that, like, so perspective for people who don't understand the timeline. The bar opened in 2015, 2016 with my dad and Brandon Vineyard as the main bartenders. It was, like, craft. So you wanted a craft lounge, really wasn't prevalent around town at the time. And then COVID hit. My dad goes deep into the chef work. That's about when he disappeared into that. Also, Brennan Vineyard found another job somewhere. I think he was working for the Nimitz Foundation or something. But then the owner's daughter, Caroline, Lauren's daughter, Caroline, kind of took over, and she brought live music, brought more of a liveliness. And she was here for a couple years, and then she left. She and Luke moved out of the state, and
to Savannah.
And then the liveliness of the bar, we had food because post-COVID we had a small kitchen. The liveliness and the stuff was still here, but there really wasn't leadership or direction. And so the bar it kind of devolved into a fast bar, which isn't bad. I'm not going to harp on anybody, but from the vibe, we have other places in town if you want a fast bar, dive bar feel. But for what Lauren wanted the direction of the bar to be, we had strayed from that, and it was kind of disorganized. There wasn't recipe consistency. I think liquor costs and ordering could have gone a little smoother. And so whenever we came in, it was an overhaul. It took a month of planning to launch everything and clean everything up. But yeah, there's no seats at the bar anymore. People get upset about that, and it's hey, there's signs that explain at the front, but craft cocktails, the way we do them now, it takes a little bit of time. We also want to keep on top of dishes, restocking ingredients. And so if you've ever worked in a bar, because everybody that gets upset about it always says I've managed restaurants and bars for 13 years. I don't know why 13 is always the number.
Yeah.
But I've managed a restaurant for 13 years. I'm cool, dude. That's cool. I'm glad you have, but this is a different thing. But seconds count.
Every second counts.
You worked in a kitchen. You've worked making anything in the industry, and it's every second matters so much, because it's 1 second for this drink, then it's 1 second for the next drink, and pretty soon, cumulatively, you've lost 10 minutes by the end of the night. And that matters so much when trying to get drinks out. We had an issue at one point with drink times being 30 minutes before we made the changes. And it was what we aim for is 5 to 10. 5 on average. If it's going to go to anything, it's going to be 10. Never past that.
Right.
And then if we go past that, we try to we'll talk to the customer and be hey, I'm sorry this happened. We're going to help and hook it up a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, it takes a little bit of time, and we needed to make sure that we stay on top of everything. And so now there's more seats out here. We have more seats than we had before. They also have to wait to be seated on Fridays and Saturdays. You order from the server. You don't order at the bar. And if it's not someone's style, then it's I'm sorry. There's plenty of other bars in town we can suggest you go to fit that vibe.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Because we're very processed. The methods, the Japanese style and technique and everything that I spent time working on, it's kind of what we carried over. And everybody, even the servers, train on everything so they can get a better understanding. And we have people behind the bar that have been learning those things, and very fortunate. We have Erin behind the bar. We're recording this as we're open right now.
Right, she's going.
She's grown a lot. She's been doing it not even a year.
Oh, she's a badass.
And she's just as good as I am.
Yeah, she's really down.
That's a sign of a great teacher. If your predecessor becomes better than you at some point, I mean, you've done your job right. I actually heard Thomas Keller give a whole spiel on that. It was very interesting. They were asking him oh, do you ever get jealous about some of the people that you helped kind of come up in this world? And he's well, no, that's a great mark on myself, on the way we teach people. If they can go off and they can create something better than what I've done here, then you
did your job. You did it damn well.
Yeah, you did it damn well. Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah, and I've done everything from the insane amount of research that I did, but she picked everything up so well because also she was a chef before, so she's already a bit meticulous, and she also has an understanding of some of the things that I don't have an understanding of. She definitely understands flavor profiles to a deeper level than I've been able to teach myself.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so 100% could be better than me. 100%. And one thing here is we'll never claim to know the most. It's another big thing too. It's we claim to love what we do and to research it, but we don't claim to know more than anybody. if anybody wants to have a talk, like, we're gonna be chill. Like, you want to know how we make this drink? I'll talk about it. Like, one thing too from the field I came from was like as a ranger, you give customer service, but also like with your coworkers and anybody, like there's no competition really. Like, if you want to know how I do something, I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. I'll give you a piece of paper that I've written down with an outline that says what I say, what I need, and how I do it, so you can do it just as good as me. So I'm not afraid to share that with people. Like, this one big thing we do here too is like, we're not going to be, yes, we dress up on the weekends. Yes, like, you walk in here, you can't sit with us, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be like, I'm better than you. Like, we're going to we're willing to share. I think that's one of the things too. Like, just like, we're excited about what we do. We're not uptight about it, but I was fortunate enough this last year, like at that point, I think I was a year and a half in, to get voted the best bartender in town. And I was like, I can't believe that happened.
No, it's crazy.
Like a year and a half before that, I was a park ranger that would like wake up at 2 a.m. because there's hogs at this campsite. Or like, oh, this person like was drunk in the middle of the night and hit their knee with an axe while they were cutting wood. Those things happen,
right?
And now it's like, oh, now I got voted best bartender, and it's like,
how was that? How did that feel? Was it like a great like validation of all your time and hard work, getting the title?
I hate talking about my accomplishments. Like, I don't ever want to sound like I'm bragging. I just like, because I don't want to be someone who has to live on their past accomplishments. But at the time, like, yeah, it felt really good. It felt like
you've been seen, like people.
Yeah, like I was like, I fell in love with the craft of it and became obsessed with like how these people do it, so that I could, because they're known for doing it meticulously and perfect, and everything has a purpose. And I've loved like the breaking down of the food science behind it, so we can make more things. But yeah, like, I was just doing it because it was fun. Like, I only ever want to work a job where I feel like I'm playing. So I can't do a desk job. And so like, I get to play here on the weekends and then talk to people. And it's like, it's a long shift. At Parks and Wildlife, I was working from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. We'd eat through our lunches. We were going through the day, but it was fun. And here it's the same thing.
It doesn't feel like work.
I get tired in a different type of way than I did with Parks, but yeah. So it's like, I was doing this just because I fell in love with it. And to be recognized in a way like that was like, it felt really good. It's like, okay, I do have value outside of what I had previously kind of attached my identity to.
Right.
Yeah. So, just out of curiosity, who else was up? Who else was on the list? Who else were you going up against? I'm familiar with who else was on there.
So we didn't get best bar. I got best bartender because you're lumped with everybody. Like, there were some people on the list, I think, that were at wineries. So it's like literally like I think anybody who, I don't know how you get on the list, because I didn't talk to anybody. I found out like from somebody else who was like, I saw you're on the list for like Fredericksburg Best, and I was like, I am.
I don't know either. I don't even. Henry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Henry told my dad. Henry Gutkin told my dad
that I was, and
then he saw me on it, and he told me.
He's like, hey, did you know this?
I don't know who else was on the list. I do remember that
Bobby was.
I know that Bobby Keen Hammond was, because he got second. I think that he'd previously won it or something a few times. And it was really nice, like, because Bobby and I, like, we're close. Bobby moved.
Where does he work?
Bobby Keen Hammond, he's at Granite House. We graduated in the same class, we're the same age. He moved here from LA in the 4th grade, I think, and I was his first like real friend. He used to come over and hang out and stuff. My dad loves him, and so like Bobby and I are really close. But he told me, like, he was like, I think the first time I saw him after I'd won it, he told me like kind of like this little like oh, I can't believe you beat me, but then it was like this thing like, but you know what, even if I did lose, I'm glad that it was to you. Yeah. Because I think he knows how much I'm obsessed with it. Yeah. And it's just been it's been cool, like, to kind of like transition and stuff. It was definitely like, it was a big turning point for me making this jump, because I had attached my identity to a job for so long. Yeah. It really proved something to me, and also like I can get stoked wherever I'm at.
That's cool. That's really cool, man. Yeah, I can only imagine, like, it must have been a great, like, just validation of, you know, like I said, like, your hard work, you know, just like, you're like, wow, people recognize and they see what I, you know, the passion that I have and the hard work that I'm putting in, and then it translates to, you know, winning an award like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love that, man. You know, so he wins the award, and if you haven't come to 7864 to try a cocktail, and if you like cocktails, it's a totally different experience, right? It's because not only do you come and you order something off the menu, or you go to the bar and if you ask, you know, like Carlos says, they teach you, he'll give you not necessarily just ingredients that go into it, but why, you know, and even more information about, you know, where the ingredient comes from, why it was created, and why it works so well. So, I mean, this is, I don't make fun of him. I always say, you know, Carlos is like a fucking walking encyclopedia when it comes to information, because even like in the park ranger, you know, days, he could tell you trails, he could tell you, you know, all the wildlife, you know, the vegetation. It was crazy just asking him. So I can only imagine the people that he would take on guides, all the information, you know, that they would have to absorb. I mean, I would be like information overload at a certain point. I'm like, dude, you know what? I don't care. I just want to enjoy the view. That would be me, because that's how I am. But you come to the bar, and I don't know any bar that I've gone to. It's like I order an old fashioned. That'll be my first thing to see whether the bar is or isn't, you know, of a certain standard.
Exactly.
So, so when I do that, it's like, okay, I watch them. The bartender brings it, he gives it to me, you know, and that's the extent of it, you know. And here it's different, you know. If you ask, or if you see, if you order a specific, you know, thing, if you come to the bar and order it, they'll tell you, you know, history about, you know, when it was created, or if he created it, why he created it. And I think that's really cool, because now you're not just getting a good quality product, you're getting what everyone comes to Fredericksburg to get, is an experience.
Right.
You know, as you and I are chefs, you know, when they hire us, we go, and we don't just go and cook and say, here's your food. We give them an experience. They talk to us, we talk to them, you know, we'll tell them some history about our lives or about the town. And so they get their money's worth, you know.
Yeah,
so I would just put it straight out like that, because you're paying X amount, you expect X amount, and that's just how everyone is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're friends, then it's like there's no pressure. Come over to the house, you know, here's a hot dog, it's badass. Our company is badass, you know. And part of it, it's all about company, but at the same time, it's like you come to an establishment, you can drink at home, you can make a cocktail, but why do you come here? The ambiance, the people, you know, it's just the whole package. So here you get a little bit more. There are a few places in town where you might get something similar, but then I guarantee you that the people make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, you can go somewhere that's newer, you can go somewhere that it's even more high end, but if the people, you know, don't treat you a certain way, then it's just, you know, another place.
Yeah.
So that's the difference, and I've seen it change dramatically, you know, in the past 6-7 years. And so, I mean, it's you come here for that experience now, and of course you get the experience, you get a badass cocktail, you get badass people, and you know, I'm just in love with the people here. The owners, Lauren, Dr. Cohn, I love Lauren. I've known her since I was like 13 years old, and just it's, you know, just overall badass place, you know?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that sets us apart too, and a really big thing that carried over from my park ranger life was that there's a big emphasis on, like, when we're doing stuff, like education and empowerment are two things that make a person feel very welcome, but also make them really remember an experience. So yeah, when they come here, we can curate a cocktail for you, but whenever we do make something for you or curate something for you, we're going to talk about the history of that. If you order a Sazerac, we're going to talk, like, I'll tell you the history of the Sazerac and what it was originally made with. If you order the Queen's Park Super Cocktail that's on the menu, it's our rum-based drink on the menu. We'll talk about the history of that drink. And, you know, we have, like, cards at the tables for trivia and stuff. And it's, we'll talk about, like, if someone asks me the drink, they're going to end up hearing about, like, yeah, this is why I do this, because I want them to know, like they'll understand something better if, like, what is, like, for me at least, like, understand something better if you understand why you're doing the certain things you're doing. Everything has a purpose. And yeah, that education, that empowerment, like you come in and you follow the house rules, and I think that you're gonna have a good time. That's like one of the things we do is, like, when you make a drink in house, it's on the menu. Whenever we make things in general, we want to include all 5 senses.
Yeah.
We have the music on. This is a specific type of music. We don't have live music, so you can enjoy your company. Cocktails we make in house, like there's a drink we serve with thyme on the top and not a straw, but it's got rocks. People always like, oh, can I have a straw? And it's like, you can, but just know that the thyme is here on top so that the nose of that thyme can give you an amplified experience with this cocktail. The taste, the thickness, the mouthfeel. We'll use certain syrups with different levels of richness, like the ratio of sugar to water. Everything's measured by weight, and we'll use certain syrups and certain things so that the mouthfeel is a certain experience. If we want this cocktail to feel a little more wintry, warm weather, it's going to be a heavier syrup, a 2-to-1 ratio of your sugar to syrup, so it's thicker. So everything here has a purpose, and we're friendly about it. You come in and you follow the house rules. We have them posted at the front. Then I think you're gonna have a good time. It's definitely something a little different people aren't used to.
I was gonna say I've never walked into a place that has right in front of your face any house rules.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been to a place in town with house rules, but also
what's a good standard to set?
I think it's great. I've seen a lot of shit-faced people sometimes. Walking out of bars or even trying to come into a bar, trying to get a certain experience when it's like, dude, you already messed up. Do we really want to take care of you? Especially when I was bartending, it was like, I didn't think about this shit. I was like, come on, I'll take your money. But if they were drunk, we couldn't serve them. But it's one of those things that you don't think about when you're back then when you're a newbie. But this guy been doing it for a year, and it's like, nope, we need to have these rules. And I mean, it's easy to get behind it because from the customers, you want the other person sitting behind you to know that they're also aware and they're going to respect this, so everyone's going to have a great time, because it can get out of control pretty quick, man. You go to a fast bar, and before you know it, there's I know last week there was a bar fight down the street, and it was like, shit.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, dude. I'll tell you about it later. But I mean, so like, what's on your house rules?
Man, I can't remember them all off the top of my head.
I mean, I can grab it right there.
A few basic ones. Yeah, we have it right behind us in the picture frame. A few basic ones are like Friday, Saturday, you gotta wait to be seated. There's no ordering at the bar, and we have signs at the bar that explain like a consistent quality craft cocktail takes time to make, and for this reasons, you must order from your table with your server. There's no ordering at the bar. So like, no ordering at the bar, people will come up and we'll point to the signs and let them know, like, you gotta wait to be seated by a server friend. They're like, I've been sitting up there for 2 minutes. It's like, we're busy right now, I'm sorry. The server will get to you. Also respecting the staff, that's a really big thing. You come here for the service that we have catered. You're not coming here to treat our servers like servants. Service, not servants. And so like, it's a big thing too. It hasn't happened often. We have had people that we've had to ask to leave because they were just disrespectful to our servers, thought they could come to the bar and tell me like, this is what happened, this is what I did. And it's like, it's in the house rules when you walked in.
Yeah.
And it's the same response every time. It's like, we appreciate you for coming in. We ask you that you leave and please do not come back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the softest about it. Like if the owner Lauren's here, she'll let you know. But it's a really big thing with her respect of the staff and the furniture. Yeah, so that's a few of them, but those are pretty big ones.
I agree.
Yeah, man. Well, I like that. It's like service, not servants.
Yeah.
Because we've all worked in this industry now for a while, and it's like, yeah, that switch can flip pretty quick, and all of a sudden you go from, one extreme to the next, especially after people have been drinking too.
And it's also a thing that in parks and wildlife they carried over too. There's something we're taught at the beginning that's authority of the resource, and it's like, hey, you're here. I understand. Like, everybody likes to pull out like the First Amendment thing, but it's like, look, I understand that you're here to have fun, but in the parks, it's like, you can have fun, you can enjoy it, but you have to be respectful. And if that respect is going to mean that some damage is being done somewhere, or that you're hampering other people's ability to have the experience that we want, then we're going to talk to you, ask you to calm down, or ask you to leave. And it's happened before. just people that were too loud, that were getting aggressive, and it's like, hey, like, you're affecting other people's experiences here. We're gonna have to ask you to calm down. We're gonna have to ask you to leave.
Yeah.
And authority of the resource, like the resource and the people who care for it are gonna come first.
Well, that translates very well here. The authority of the resource of the bar.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. Carlos.
Yeah.
The authority.
That's cool, man. Well, dude, it's been so great to hear your story. We're coming in on close to 90 minutes now, and
that's not bad.
I know.
First episode. I mean, we promise. Not all of them are going to be this
Carlos,
long.
The empowerment education, the long one.
That's going to be the title for it.
No, man, it's you know, and like you were like, I remember meeting you at Caliche, and I was just like, oh, the dude's so cool, man. Like, you just got like a cool vibe about him, you know, and then I got to talking to you a little bit there when we first met, and I'm like, dude, this guy's really smart. Like, he's unassuming, like the way that like you can like pull up data out of your mind just about certain topics is just like, this guy's on another level, man. Whether it be soccer or like, you know, at the time when we were working at the coffee shop, it was coffee, and you had knowledge about just making like the best pour over. And now, you know, when we come into the bar here and, you know, we're you know, you're bringing cocktails to people that we're interviewing. It's really cool how you like give history lessons on every single thing that you're bringing out, and yeah, man, it's really cool. So it's just been such a pleasure to get to know kind of your story in deep.
For sure, man. It's a pleasure just to be able to have him on my show, on our show. I'm sorry, because it's like we've asked him before. And it's like, let me think about it.
Well, it's like all the stars aligned.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
and you got that award to be the best bartender here in FBG, and it was just and then us now coming here and recording, it's just a natural progression to have you as our first guest.
For sure, man. So thank you for coming, Carlos. Thank you for sharing your story. Man, it's been a pleasure, brother. It's always a pleasure hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for, you know, getting this situation set up here. I mean, luckily, you know, Leo has, you know, a great deep connection here with this bar, and, you know, it's his relationships here that have led us to be able to, you know, be in this amazing space once a week and be able to do this. So thank you for that.
So Carlos, how do we get a hold of you? How do we find you at the bar? And tell us everything we need to know, or the people listening, how to get a hold of you, or all the good stuff.
Best way to get a hold of me, probably Instagrams. At Hurricane all one word, all lowercase, Hurricane But
why?
I mean, if we're friends, then maybe I'll give you my number. But that's the best way. The bar is 78624 the bar. At Gmail, or follow the Instagram. But Hurricane. I really like the word hurricane, and I was like, I wanted to make it my handle. I think it was Twitter or something back in 2008, and Twitter. The word hurricane was already taken, so I couldn't think of another word. I just put So, I rolled up to a skate contest in 2016, I think it was, or 15, and it was the shop that I was, I got linked up with everybody and getting hooked up with everybody. They were throwing it in San Marcos, and I rolled up, and one of the owners is he's yelling out oh yeah, Hurricane is here, Hurricane's in the house. And then we had to dude, Jeff, you gotta quit, man. It's Hurricane Harvey had just happened. And we had people from Houston that were there at the contest.
Too soon.
And we were no, too soon. Quit. Thanks for the shout out. Stop.
So also, more importantly, if somebody wants to come in and, you know, kind of tell us when you work, so that if somebody wants to come in and experience your passion.
Oh yeah. So we're open Thursday through Monday. Friday and Saturday we're open 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday and Thursday we're open from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. 5-hour time frame. Sunday we're open from 2 to 7. Last call is 30 minutes before. I work behind the bar Thursday through Sunday, so you can find me behind the bar on those days.
Cool.
If you come in on Monday, I won't be here, but who will be here is who we were talking about, Erin. She'll be here, I think, pretty much every day that we're open. She kind of is on and off on. She takes turns on Sundays with someone right now. But cool. Erin's here most of the time behind the bar, and she can do, like we talked about, everything just as well. But yeah.
Awesome, man. Cool.
And it's located 200 block of East Main, 200 block of East Main, right across from Vaudeville. So the other white building right across from Vaudeville.
Across from Vaudeville, or look up what this zip code is here in town. Yeah. Start just typing in the bar.
Yeah,
7624 the bar.
The bar.
Yeah, you really can't miss it when you're here.
No, for sure, brother. So. All right, and
what about you?
No, I was gonna ask you first, man. Come on.
TheDineInDude.com. Also on Instagram at TheDineInDude. And man, that's where you'll find me. What about you, brother?
Me, Chef Leo Aguirre. I gotta roll that R.
Aguirre.
Chef _Leo _Aguirre, AGUIRRE, or Eat FBGTX, Instagram, Facebook, or .com. And or you can just type in myname.com. That comes up too. Go to my website.
If you end up listening to this point, just again, like, you listened to an hour and a half of me talking.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. But just a reminder, come to the bar, ask for the podcast table.
Yeah.
And you'll get that discount.
Yeah.
15% off. And ring that tab up because you're going to save 15%.
Heck yeah, man.
It's a good incentive.
Well, guys, make sure you leave us a review, listen, and get back to us. Negative or positive, we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from y'all.
And we're on Spotify, iTunes, and
Apple
pretty much
Music,
anywhere that you need anywhere you can listen to pod.
Heck yeah, man! Listen to it on your cassette player. Record it, rewind it.
Your famous cassette player with internet connection.
Yes.
Oh, they actually make those now.
Oh shit!
I've seen that.
I know.
Anyways.
On your 8-track. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for hanging out with me.
Yeah. Later days.
All right, man. Until next week. We'll see you later.
Ciao, Baba.